We're with a social enterprise that is working to address climate change. We have a company that works with local rural property owners to try to build topsoil. The pre-composting system that we use incorporates biochar, which has some pretty unique composting properties, and also aids in the composting process in a multitude of ways. In the process of composting with local farmer Stephen Newman, we've made some remarkable discoveries that enable composting very rapidly in bulk without the need for turning.
IT is my background, had a computer company, and then had a midlife crisis at age 30 and thought I'd better go farming. I always wanted to farm, but I thought if I don't do it now, I'll never be able to. So got out of computers and went dairy farming, bought a dairy farm out of Whangarei, and that's where it started, the journey of animals and the land. And basically back then I was just doing everything the traditional way. Then came back to town and moved out to Kaipara with our lifestyle block here. That's where the real journey started, was here. We've been out here for 10 years, just over 10 years now. And so I was watching Country Calendar years ago, Peter Barrett and the regenerative practices he was doing. And then I just went on this journey of trying to learn more about it. And so that whole regenerative approach that I learned, one part of it was composting. I've been doing composting in various ways for a number of years. All the gardens I've been composting, trying to compost every year to get a really productive soil. What I'd like to see happening is more people like me, and in this community, lifestyle blocks, small block owners, whatever, start making their own compost through City to Farm. This is a very simplistic model. Just a short distance to town, pick the food scraps up, back on the property. You know, you can then start growing things better. You know, like Phil Granger down the road, he's growing bananas with this compost. So everything we're doing is trying to rebuild the biology in the soil. So we can then start stopping synthetic inputs and creating a better environment. The one main reason I make it is I can make it myself, in my mind, cheaper. It's a lot cheaper, so money's a biggie. Because what I'd like to do eventually is make so much I can just spread it all over my block. Working with City to Farm has been very easy. I actually wouldn't have gone down this path if it wasn't to City to Farm, because I can make it in bulk in one go, and two, I can either make it on site, their premises, so I will take my ICB bin to City to Farm and we'll mix the mulch and the food scraps, everything there, and they'll drop the ICB bins back to me. But the only negative of that is I have to have a tractor with forks to pick it off. Or the other way that City Farm does, they will come here with their truck, which has a tail lift, and bring all the bins to me. And they've helped me make them. So we've quite often will help local people make their food scrap bins as a joint little field day or outing. So City Farm has made it so easy. I can't stress enough, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have them. The path I've chosen to go down was originally the Johnson Sioux path, because all I have to do is fill a bin, it's aerated, and I don't have to turn it. And I like that idea of not turning it, because for me to turn it, I'd have to get out a spade and do it. I don't have a digger. So that's why I went down this path. And then I noticed that was really easy. So I thought, let's make a big massive bin. Because an ICB bin is 1,000 litres. And then I have about 16 of these things now. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't keep having ICB bins everywhere. So I need to make bigger bins. So behind my shed, where the horses and donkeys stay, I dug out these 3 metre by 3 metre square bins and put in big massive posts, and then put 6 by 50 millimetre thick rails all the way around. So it's a wooden rail bin with gaps, air gaps between each rail, so I know there's air getting in. And then as I was building it, I thought to myself, how do I put these pipes in there to get air in so I don't have to turn it? And in the end I went, oh bugger it, I'll see what happens. So I didn't put the pipes in because I just got sick of drilling holes in pipes. I didn't want to do that. It was painful, it takes ages. Anyway, so I thought, nah, I'll just throw it all in and see what happens. And to my surprise, that one, I never turned it. It's just a bulk pile in this bin. And in 6 months, the food scraps had compost or fertiliser mulch. And when we mix it in the composting process, it doesn't smell. It's amazing. So it's that whole process of bokashi, biochar, the mulch, from the beginning all the way to the making of the compost, which has made the difference, which has made it all work in such a short period of time and not turning it.
So when we deliver food scraps to a rural property, they are pre-composted. They've been bokashi composted, which means they've been fermented. They compost really quickly. They've got biochar in them, which neutralizes the odors, balances the pH, improves the composting process, and it's got woody mulch, which helps balance the carbon to nitrogen ratio. If you put biochar directly into the soil, it will rob your soil of minerals and microorganisms. But if you pre-compost it with the bokashi, it inoculates it with microorganisms and it charges it with minerals, so when it does go into your soil, it acts as a fantastic fertilizer.
When you dig it up, unlike a bag of compost I get from the store, is you're digging up all these worms. You just see activity in there and you just go, oh, this is lovely. So when I'm putting it out there, I'm actually transferring my worms, I'm transferring everything, where in a compost bag you sort of look at it and go, this is great, but you don't ever see anything alive. It's just a bag of compost. Whereas, so there's one thing I do enjoy is that the freshness or the life in my compost when I'm spreading it, transferring that life around the biology, around the property. So yeah. So where I've been using the compost to start with is in the gardens on the property. So we have a lot of gardens here, and that's my first stage, is put it on the gardens, and then when I get to 16 tonnes I'll start putting it annually. I'll then start putting it on the farm, but gardens is the focus at the moment. So I've been doing that for a few years. Just things grow here really well. So we have feijoas, lemonades, limes, lemons, grapefruits, oranges, tangelos, avocados, pears, plums. Oh yeah, very big into the plums, they do really well. And then we've just got all the flower gardens everywhere. Can't tell you what the flowers are, my wife looks after that. But yeah, that's all roses and all these plentiful wild flowers everywhere. But compost has every year has been the strategy, putting it on there, all the gardens everywhere. With me making 8 tonnes this year, it's getting a huge dousing of compost. Our veggie garden, for example, now slowly raising the garden, all the veggie gardens to 400 millimetres high, nearly half a metre high, raised gardens. That's where a lot of the compost is going to go mixing into the soil in there. And that veggie garden does very well.
Soil scientists tell us that the soil is the planet's second largest carbon sink. Through photosynthesis, over time, natural systems have the ability to remove at least half of all the atmospheric carbon and pump it into the ground where it can be stored in the form of living organisms. This mass of living, thriving soil microorganisms are what we call topsoil. Deep, healthy soil can act as a buffer to the climate extremes of drought and flooding. Deepening topsoil can enable local food production, another aspect of climate resilience. Shouldn't we all be focused on growing healthy topsoil?